Let's take a look at the largest airplane in human history. How much money does it make in one trip? Right in front of us. This 6-engine steel giant, the Antonov An-225 Mriya, is performing one of the final commercial cargo missions of its life. Flight ADB 320 Foxtrot took off from Tianjin Binhai Airport in China, carrying epidemic prevention supplies. It would pass through Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, before finally arriving at Billund Airport in Denmark. The total distance exceeded 7,500 kilometers. Because of the aircraft's huge size and weight, it could not fly non-stop as easily as a Boeing 747. It had to stop halfway for refueling to complete this epic journey across Eurasia. Some people may wonder, what kind of cargo actually requires a monster like this? This flight tells you what monopoly power really means. There are 3 levels in the global cargo market. For ordinary cargo, there is the Boeing 747. For heavy cargo, there is the Antonov An-124. But when you need to transport a 180-ton power plant rotor or a 42-meter wind turbine blade, only the An-225 in the world can take the job. It wasn't delivering packages. It was transporting industrial miracles. On this mission from Tianjin to Denmark, it carried nearly 90 tons of urgently needed COVID-19 testing supplies. Although the weight itself did not reach the aircraft's limit, the enormous volume almost completely filled its cargo hold. A cargo hold large enough to swallow an entire train. Because this kind of transportation was an exclusive business, customers were not charged per ton. Instead, the aircraft was chartered by the hour. During the peak of the pandemic, the rental price of the An-225 skyrocketed. Its hourly rate could easily exceed $100,000. For this mission, including positioning flights, loading, and unloading, the total contract value reached approximately $1.5 million, about 10.8 million Chinese yuan. That amount of money was enough to make passenger airlines jealous. Passenger airlines fly people. The dream flew money. Its ability to generate profit was incredible. But was it actually profitable? When you look at its outrageous operating costs, maybe not as much as you would expect. After loading was completed and the cargo doors were closed, all 6 Progress D-18 Tango engines roared to life at the same time. The ground shook like an earthquake. Its fuel consumption was terrifying. At a takeoff weight exceeding 500 tons, the An-225 burned approximately 16.5 tons of fuel every hour, nearly twice the fuel consumption of a Boeing 747. Including positioning flights and a total mission time of 14 hours, total fuel consumption reached approximately 230 tons. At the aviation fuel prices at that time, around $800 per ton, fuel costs alone reached approximately $190,000. This thing was basically burning money into the sky. The departure weight of this flight approached the limits of human aviation history. And this did not just test the airplane itself, it also tested the airport. Because the aircraft was too heavy, many airports simply could not handle it. Any airport capable of accommodating the An-225 charged the highest operational fees. Airport takeoff and landing charges are calculated based on maximum takeoff weight. The An-225 was more than 200 tons heavier than a Boeing 747. A single takeoff or landing cost roughly $5,000. For this route involving Tianjin, Bishkek, and Denmark, combined with special handling and protection vehicle fees, total airport-related costs reached approximately $21,000. Cargo security and special loading fees added another $1,500. At this point, total ground-related expenses reached approximately $22,500. While cruising at an altitude of 10,000 meters, another problem appeared. The aircraft was simply too heavy. As it crossed the airspace of multiple countries, the route charges were extremely expensive. Flying out of China, across Central Asia, through Russia, and into Northern Europe, the aircraft continuously paid airspace fees along the way. Because of its enormous weight factor, the charges were especially high. Total route fees reached approximately $35,000. This aircraft was practically flying through the sky on a road paved with gold. And then came the maintenance costs. Because there was only one An-225 in the world at that time, spare parts were extremely rare. Every repair required a dedicated engineering team. Some replacement parts even came from the unfinished second An-225 airframe. Maintenance costs were estimated at around $7,000 per flight hour. For a 14-hour mission, maintenance expenses reached approximately $98,000. Adding insurance and fixed operating costs for this priceless aircraft, The total came to roughly $112,000. Now look at the crew. A Boeing 747 usually requires only 2 to 4 pilots, but the N225 required 6 crew members inside the cockpit. Inside the cargo compartment, there were also more than 10 onboard maintenance and loading specialists. The total crew size reached nearly 20 people. This wasn't just a flight crew anymore. It was basically an airborne task force. Travel expenses, accommodation, and crew-related costs for these 20 specialists totaled approximately $21,000 for a single trip. Finally, after a long intercontinental flight, the giant Maria slowly descended into Denmark. The aircraft opened its famous nose cargo door and unloaded the epidemic prevention supplies. The payment of $1.5 million had officially arrived. After subtracting $190,000 for fuel, $22,500 for airports, $35,000 for route charges, $112,000 for maintenance, and $21,000 for crew expenses, total operating costs reached approximately $380,000. The profit from this single one-way mission exceeded $1.1 million. This was profit at the absolute limit of human transportation capability, unmatched anywhere in the world. The An-225 was originally built to transport the Soviet space shuttle, but in the age of global business, it became a legendary logistics giant, unlike anything else on Earth. However, shortly after completing this mission from Tianjin to Denmark and returning to Kyiv, this giant dream aircraft that could swallow a train was tragically destroyed during the war in 2022. Although reconstruction still feels far away, the path it once carved across the sky proved how far human industrial civilization had advanced. While the queen of the skies, the Boeing 747, was still working hard, the dream had already come to an end, and I believe the sky itself still misses her. If you enjoyed this story about the legendary An-225, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Flight Theory for more aviation content.